Here. Okay, there we go. Alright, cool. So, the way this is going to work is that originally, when I pulled up this template, it had all the main Doom games, up these first few all the way up to Doom Eternal, and I said, you know what, we need to make this bigger, we need to make this more exciting, and so I decided after that I'm going to add all the console versions of Doom that I could think of, but then I'm like, wait, we can go even further, and then I added other games that ran on the Doom engine, so we've got quite a bit of things to get through. Now, as far as the tier list goes, the Doom tier is essentially the S tier. These are the best of the best, in my opinion. I want to make sure that's iterated here. These are all my opinion. There's no objective right or wrong here. If you agree with me or disagree with me, I will happily engage in healthy discussion. But, yeah. So that's where the best ones are. The A tiers are going to be the ones that are really good and definitely worth playing, no matter what. The real solid ones, but maybe have like one or two shortcomings. B tier is going to be the ones that are good, but maybe not like so good that you have to play them more than once. But they're fun, they have their perks, they got good things about them. C tier is going to be the ones that are okay, maybe there's like one or two cool things about it, but maybe they don't hold up as well as some of the other games. And then trash is where all the bad games are gonna go, all the ones that are dog shit, you know, the real nasty ones. And for the ones that I haven't played, they're gonna go down here, which isn't a lot of them, but anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll go sequentially through this instead of whatever order I choose, because it'll just be easier that way. Let me get my drink here. Right. Back to business. Alright, so we're going to start with Doom 2016. This game was huge when it came out. It basically revitalized Doom. It forged the path for modern Doom. And after having played it recently, I can easily say Doom 2016 is an S tier game. It's a Doom tier game. It says it right there. Everything about the game just works. It's fun. It's challenging. The weapons are fun to use. The variety of enemies are there. I know not everyone's big on the shift from Doom level exploration to, like, you know, arena focused combat, but I think it's done very well, and I think it holds up very well, and admittedly I think 2016 deserves it to spot on the top, because it really revitalized interest in Doom as a whole. Very good game though, I love it. Moving on, we have next a weird one, Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil. I'll get into Doom 3 in a couple of games, but Resurrection of Evil was the expansion that was released for it. It added some new enemies, it added a couple new weapons, a lot of gimmicky stuff. A lot of the new enemies are kind of forgettable. The levels are okay. I think Resurrection of Evil is fine. It's fun. It's not better than the vanilla game in my opinion, but it's still worth playing, so this one's going to get a comfortable B tier slot. Yeah, for sure. I definitely, I think a lot of people were taken by surprise when it actually came out, because I think that the promotion and, like, previewing of it was pretty underwhelming. But the end result was definitely worth it. So, props to them. But yeah, Resurrection of Evil's cool. Definitely worth at least playing once, but I don't think it's necessarily, like, a masterpiece or anything like that. Moving on to this one. This one's tough because Doom 2 it's a weird one to place for this one, because Doom 2, in my opinion, is absolutely excellent for the most part. There is some great maps. There's some really creative use of the Doom engine. There's a bunch of new enemies that became staples to, you know, Doom map design and custom content and stuff. The Super Shotgun was a great addition. Hello, my fellow gaming enthusiasts. Hello to you, too. The thing with Doom 2 that makes it tough is the fact that there are quite a few levels that are definitely not made by Sandy Peterson that just absolutely suck. But I think the overall package of Doom 2 and everything that it added to the formula personally makes me think that Doom 2 is belonging here. And it's weird because I used to not think that, but I really do have a lot of appreciation for Doom 2. It is everything that worked really well in Doom 1, but with a bunch of new features that are really nice. Even if not all of them work well, I think overall as a package, Doom 2 is an excellent game. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. It was conflicting because I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it in A, but for me personally, I don't know why, it just does not feel right to not put Doom 2 in the highest tier, because it pushed what you could do with the Doom engine so much further than what I could have expected. So, Doom 3 in the trash. Get the fuck out of here, Foreman. We're not even there yet. Just kidding. How you doing, man? Ultimate Doom. This is another tough one, and Ultimate Doom for the longest time, and it probably kind of still is one of my favorite video games, period. You know, it laid the groundwork. It's iconic. It still holds up well today. And unfortunately, a lot of the factor of that is because of Episode 1, which was pretty much all John Romero. Going back and playing through it, Episode 2 and 3 have some great maps, like Mount Erebus is a great one, for example, in Episode 3. But the problem is there's some maps in those other two episodes that just kind of feel shoehorned in, or like not as exciting as the rest of Episode 1. And then you have Episode 4, which the second half of Episode 4 is great. The first half of Episode 4 is fucking ridiculous. It is really hard for no reason. So, Ultimate Doom is such a mixed bag overall, and I think, even though it's one of my personal favorites, I think Ultimate Doom deserves to be put in A tier. Simply because the overall experience isn't very well-rounded. Like, you have some stellar stuff, like I said, the highlight of Doom, Ultimate Doom, is definitely Episode 1. But everything else on there's some cool ideas thrown into some also some levels that are just kind of not as exciting. But yeah, Ultimate Doom, great. Moving on to Doom 3, aka not Doom. Getting a tooth pulled is more enjoyable than the first half of Thy Flesh Consumed. Yeah, exactly. The first half of that episode is absolute hell. So, pun intended. The not Doom game here, Doom 3, is a controversial Doom game because some people fucking hate Doom 3 because it's quote-unquote not Doom. You could make the argument that it's not necessarily a good Doom game, but I think if you look at it from a pure perspective of just being a game, Doom 3 is an excellent horror shooter. You feel claustrophobic, you feel like you're fighting for your life, it's dark, it's gritty. There's definitely some huge downgrades from vanilla Doom to Doom 3, but I still think Doom 3 holds up really well on its own. Obviously the darkness of it is a joke, a meme at this point. The shotgun spread's kind of awful, but like everything else about Doom 3 I think works well. It's visually an incredible looking game for its time, and some parts of it still hold up really well. That being said, it's not necessarily as fast-paced or exciting as some of the other Doom games, and it does have some sections that kind of blow, but I can't discredit Doom 3 because it is a really good horror shooter, so I'm going to put it in A tier. You can bitch at me if you want for that one, but it's where it stays. Speaking of horror Doom games, though, let's talk about Doom 64, because this one has a horror vibe compared to the previous ones, but still has gameplay that's closer to the original ones, and I cannot say this enough, I think Doom 64 is the best Doom game. I know that may not be everyone's shared opinion, but it's an S tier for me. Atmospherically, it's different, but it has such a nice visual style, paired with Aubrey Hodges' music, and just some other minor changes in the gameplay that worked around the limitations, but still created a really fun and really cool experience. And some of the maps of Doom 64 are most of the maps of Doom 64 are really good. It's just an overall excellent experience. All the secret levels are cool. The Unmaker is a really broken weapon. You know, it's just a great time. I can't not ever tell anyone to play Doom 64 because I just think it's the best game in the franchise, personally. Maybe not everyone shares that sentiment, but even if it's not your favorite, you can't deny that Doom 64 is a very, very good game. The only major complaints I have about Doom 64, because there's always going to be something I can complain about, there are some sections that aren't necessarily as good as others, which is the same for any Doom game. None of these games are perfect. But also, they made my least favorite enemy in Doom, the Pain Elemental, way more annoying to deal with in Doom 64. So, it gets points docked for that. The blinking light level is there's some visual elements that don't necessarily hold up well, like the annoying blinking lights, but beyond that, it's great. Master Levels of Doom 2. Master Levels of Doom 2 is... these maps are so fucking weird. It's the best way to describe the Master Levels. They're very extensive, there's a lot going on, and they're not always great. Most of them aren't great. There's maybe like one or two that are actually like worth playing, but none of them are necessarily bad. They're just odd. What's going on, Triads? Long time no see, my dude. So, for me, Master Levels is gonna go in C tier. I don't think it is the worst thing you can play, but it is certainly not the best one. The fact that it ran as good as it did on console, yeah, so this is going off of both the N64 version and the PC re-release. The PC re-release, in my opinion, is the best way to play it. Damn, Twitch, what happened? Running out of good WADs? No, I've still got plenty of shit to play. I'm playing Sigil after this. I just wanted to do something because this is a fun Doom activity that's not playing the games, so... but it's been fun. I've been playing a lot of good ones and some ridiculous ones. Adventures of Square was way fucking harder than I thought it was going to be. You're apparently behind? Damn. But yeah, Master Levels, there's not much to say about them. There's better stuff. Okay, here comes the fun one. So these next two, the logos for them, you can barely... hold on, let me scroll down just a tiny bit. You can barely see what these are, but you see enough to know what these are, which is fucking great. So let's start, because this is when we get into Final Doom. This is a fun one. Plutonia. I used to be on the camp of people that just fucking hated Plutonia, but as I got older and revisited stuff, I came to the realization that Plutonia is an interesting package, simply because half of the game is absolutely infuriating and incredibly difficult for no fucking good reasons. But then on the other hand, there are a lot of maps in Plutonia that, in my opinion, are some of the best maps in Doom. Which is weird. The package is so, like, unbalanced, though. Like, there's definitely parts of Plutonia that are absolutely worth playing. But then there's a bunch of maps that just suck. It's a worse dichotomy than what's in Doom 2. Like, the extremes between them are so monolithic that it's creates a very unbalanced experience. So Plutonia is gonna go in B for me. Alright, so now we have LUT right here, aka TNT Evolution, the other part of Final Doom. And I need to replay this. I'm going to replay this probably next week. I'm not looking forward to it. TNT Evolution, I don't know. This is tough. Because I really want to just throw TNT Evolution in trash. Because I think it has some of the absolute worst maps in Doom, period. And it's not even just because of difficulty. Sometimes the maps are just so fucking weirdly laid out and, like... There's a couple of maps where it's like, you don't have to do a whole lot, but there's still just a bunch of random space to explore that's not cool. There's the TNT truck, that's very true. But, like, at the same time, if I put this in trash, I'm gonna have to compare this to some of the actual things in here that are actually really bad. So I don't necessarily think that's fair. but I definitely would recommend most things over TNT Evolution. I'm gonna get back to this one because I don't know where I want to put it yet. Going on to Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal is a cool one because it takes the arena combat elements of 2016 and amplifies it by about 20 times. As far as gameplay goes, it is incredibly smooth. The levels can be pretty... There's a lot of scaling to the levels, which is pretty neat. There's lots of more, I guess, like, interesting stuff for the unlock system in that game. However, sometimes Doom Eternal is just overwhelming. And, like, you get hit with sensory overload by just how much you have to do in the game. Even if you find the flow for it. So, while I do think Doom Eternal is an extremely good game, I can not put it higher than A tier. And also, I just don't think Eternal has as many memorable moments as 2016. If TNT was a fan wad like originally intended, it would not have gotten as much flack. I suppose, but I don't know. It's just... That's the thing. The maps feel like they were made by people who just wanted to make a fan game. It doesn't feel like an official Doom game. But it's like, also, is it bad enough that I want to put it in the trash tier? I don't know. You know what? It feels fair not to put something there, so I'm gonna. You know what? We're gonna put Evolution in the trash. I'm sorry. It's just. It's not a. It's not a good game. It's hard for me to say anything nice about TNT Evolution. Like, it's not. Like, it's bad because it's dysfunctional, like some of the other things that are gonna end up in the trash tier. It's just not... All the maps are such a mess of either being really pointlessly difficult or just really hastily... They, like, have no flow. It's just bad map making, in my opinion. Doom 3 at the lowest. Damn, you really hate Doom 3, don't you? Let's see, what else we got here? Which Doom is this? I can't tell. Oh yeah, Doom for the Jaguar. I haven't played Jaguar Doom, so this is gonna go down here. It's one of the few that I have not played yet. On the flip side, I have played this one, and to be fair, I only played it on emulator, so I can't say I had the hardware experience. But from what I played, and what I've seen on actual hardware, I can safely say that Doom 3DO Doom deserves to be in the trash tier. Best way to play Doom 64, definitely the PC re-release. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing it on N64, but it is, in my opinion, better to play it on PC. Doom just plays better overall on PC. And it's funny, because, like, it being on PC with controls and stuff doesn't ruin the experience, like, from the limitations of it being on the N64. Yeah, 3DO Doom is bad. And I know there's a fucked up story behind the development for it. They kind of had to rush it. It doesn't change the fact that it's bad. Alright, going on to Doom 3 BFG Edition, because yes, we have special versions of games in here too, because we also have console Doom. Yeah, definitely check it out. Doom 64, in my opinion, is like, I've said it, not everyone's going to agree, but I think Doom 64 is the best Doom game. Doom 3 BFG Edition is cool because it has all the content of Doom 3 as well as an additional episode. The additional episode, Lost Missions, is not anything special. And there are changes to Doom 3. Some of them are good, a lot of them kind of change the experience as a whole, so it doesn't quite feel as Doom 3, and you're left in this weird middle ground position. And I want to emphasize, all these rankings are based on casual play experiences, and not based on speedrunning. Obviously, we know we do Doom 3 BFG Edition for speedrunning because it's faster. But for casual play, I definitely think vanilla Doom 3 is better. And I'm going to put it in B tier because of those limitations, but I also do think it deserves not to be shit on because it is a great way to experience all of the Doom 3 content, even if it's not one-to-one with the original. So, there you go. You might be wondering why there's a Unity logo down here. I couldn't come up with a clever logo for the Unity port of Doom, which was the original PC re-release that came out like a couple years ago. Anybody who knows me knows I was never a big fan of Unity, the Unity port of Doom. I think there were some cool elements, like making it, accessible to play for new people. The, featured custom WADs on there was pretty cool, but it definitely wasn't what I would say the best way to play Doom is. It's not terrible by any means, but there are so many better source ports out there for Doom that you could play it on. And then Unity Doom did this really cringy thing where if you got to the end of an episode or the end of the game, it would play this like credit sequence that looked like it was trying to be the Doom 2016 ending sequence, and it just looked so fucking awful. It was funny. So yeah, Unity Doom goes in C tier. It's not bad enough that I would have to put it lower than that. And speaking of PC re-releases, we have Doom 1 and 2, which is the Night Dive remaster that just came out not long ago. This kind of enhances the things that the Unity port had. Comes featured with a bunch of stuff, a brand new episode. It comes with No Rest for the Living as well. Comes built in with Sigil. And it also had mod browsing, which is cool, and it also had the easiest setup for Doom multiplayer that probably has ever existed. It's cool, it's fun, it's nice to have all that together. There's some cool quality of life features. The addition of being able to play Andrew Holt Schultz, remixes of the song is cool. I just don't, again, think this is a great way to play the game. That's a personal preference. I think that some things feel off about it, like the movement and like some degree of latency about it just doesn't feel one-to-one with any of the other source ports that run at a high frame rate. So, while I don't think it's bad, I think it's a step up from the Unity version of Doom. I think that it's still not great. It's still, you could still play it. It's a good excuse to play Legacy of Rust, and cross-platform play, yeah, that too. So there's some cool features for Doom 1 and 2. Just maybe isn't the best way to play it, but it's not something that I'm going to say you shouldn't play at all. So that's going to go in B tier. 32X Doom, have not played it, so it's going to go down there. Can't imagine it's going to be a good way to play Doom, but had something to do with VSync, I see. Now we have Doom RPG. Doom RPG is a weird one. So Doom RPG was a Java mobile game that back in the day when you had cell phones that could play games, there would be like these Java games on there that you could buy and put on there. And some of them were cool, but they were obviously running on some very limited like development tools. So Doom RPG, you could obviously not play Doom on like an old, a very old flip phone. So they instead made an RPG, and they also did recently a re-release of they made a source port for Doom RPG, which was cool, and I got to play it. It's a very creative endeavor. It's weird, but I don't know. It's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea. I don't hate it. I think it's fun for the most part, but it's not something that I would say you necessarily have to go out of your way to play. If we hit a certain sub goal, we'll play it again, but that's besides the point. But I'm going to put this in C tier. It's a cool idea, it's bogged down by the fact that it's a mobile game. So went on to Rico. Alright. We also have Doom 3 for the Xbox, the original Xbox. If you didn't know, the Xbox version of Doom 3 is a little bit cut back from the original. I want to say it's an absolute miracle they could even put Doom 3 on the Xbox, because that game was very demanding. But there were some cutbacks, some setbacks. They had to cut some content, and it's a much more condensed package than the PC version. But this was also my introduction to Doom 3, was the Xbox version back in the day. I still have my physical copy of Doom 3 Collector's Edition on Xbox. Really cool cover, or really cool case for it too. Do you think all these old mobile games are coded in the same version of Java's Doom RPG? I did not know that. You love that the top tier is called Doom. Yeah, I mean, it's fitting. So Doom 3 on the console, on Xbox, it's more of a technically impressive thing. It's not garbage. And if you have the collector's edition, it's cool because it comes with Doom 1 and 2 built onto the package. And also some extra features, but that's only if you get collector's edition. As far as like the console version of Doom, I'd say you should play it if you ever get the chance, but it's not something you have to go out of your way for, so it's going to go into C tier. Doom 2 RPG. As much as I loved playing through Doom RPG, I've still not had a chance to play Doom 2 RPG, so that's going to go there. So now we have checks. We're going into territory of games that run on the Doom engine. I didn't want to do every one of them because then I'd have to go into like gzdoom projects that are modern and some weird shit like the good ones as well as the bad ones like Grezzo 2, but Chex Quest is Doom. Doom would go in a tier above this one. Chex Quest, as you know, as part of DOOMTOBER, I played through all 3 episodes of it, and I had so much fun playing it. It is not a hard game at all, but it's clever, it's quirky, and it is a surprisingly competent game for something that was supposed to be thrown in a cereal box. It's just silly. It's fun. And it has some pretty cool levels. Like, nothing extensive, nothing super innovative, but it's fun. And that's what matters at the end of the day. So while I can't put it in the ranks of the highest, tier of Doom games, I can comfortably put it in A tier. As weird as that fucking sounds. Can't believe I just said that Chex Quest is better than Plutonia, but here we are. So we have next the famous Super Nintendo port of Doom, which, again, I'm going to remind you, and I'm sorry to keep throwing this at you, we're halfway to the sub goal to play this on stream. So if you want to see that happen, consider subscribing because we're halfway there. And I shouldn't have to say this, but SNES Doom is bad. It is sluggish, it's awful, it's just not a good way to play Doom. Chex Quest in the upper echelons, yep. Anyone who's played SNES Doom knows that the game is very laggy, it's sluggish, the controls are bad. It's impressive they put Doom in any capacity on the Super Nintendo, but this is by far and large not a good version of Doom. So it's going in the trash. SNES Doom was your first video game? I'm surprised you still... Well, no, that explains a lot about you. Anyway, so I'm going to flip these real quick. So we have the Game Boy Advance versions of Doom. These are really, surprisingly enough, 2 very different games. The first one, I think there was like a change in development between Doom 1 and Doom 2 on GBA. I don't know exactly, but the first one, both of them have things cut back, obviously. And some very big changes, because you can't just play Doom on the Game Boy Advance. That's the console could not handle it. Especially with that smaller screen size. I think it's impressive they managed to make it work in any capacity, but I think that the Game Boy Advance version of Ultimate Doom suffers from a little bit of it being a little bit too slow, a little bit too sluggish. It doesn't necessarily feel like a Doom experience, but it is one of the better FPS games on the Game Boy Advance, which is not saying a whole lot because there's not a lot of them, and most of them are pretty average or bad. The best Game Boy Advance shooter was Duke Nukem Advance, but that's not part of this discussion, so we're just going to put this in C tier. On top of that, we have Doom 2 on the Game Boy Advance, which is, in as weird as this is going to sound, a big improvement over the first one. It runs better, it plays better, there's still a lot of things that are cut back on it, but it is a much more playable package. It's not the definitive way to play Doom 2, but I think for a technical standpoint, and how well it holds up when you play it, it's impressive. And I would definitely say it's a B tier game. Definitely one that, like, if you're gonna play a Game Boy Advance version of Doom, play Doom 2. It's just better. It handles better, it controls better, and like I said, I think there was like a slight change in development, and like pseudo 3D like implementation in the Game Boy Advance was a little bit better at that point. Alright, so moving on. We have Heretic, which is another game that runs on the Doom engine. Heretic's kind of unfortunate because I think the premise of Heretic is really cool. Like, it's a dark fantasy game with Doom engine, you know. It's cool, there's items, there's neat weapons. The problem with Heretic is that there's a lot of levels in Heretic that are just fucking boring. And that's the biggest problem with Heretic as a whole, in my opinion. There's some really cool sections, but I feel like the gameplay feels a little bit more of a slog than Doom is. But it's not a bad experience, but I just don't think it's as good as other Doom engine games. I'm kind of conflicted here. I don't know. I don't think Heretic's a bad game. I just don't think it's a terribly exciting one, so... yeah, I think I'm gonna put this in C tier. I know some people might be unhappy about that, because I know there's a lot of Heretic enjoyers out here, but... going on with that, we also have Hexen, which is the sequel to Heretic. Very different game, a lot more exploration, a lot more puzzles, and you had a class system too. And while Hexen isn't perfect, because some of the layouts and puzzles are a little bit cryptic in Hexen, I think Hexen's a great game. It does the whole, like, dark fantasy theme really well, like Heretic does, but I think the gameplay's a little bit more interesting. There's more emphasis on item usage. You know, the multiple classes is cool, too. I just think the only major downside to Hexen is that the layout and the levels of the game are a little bit all over the place. So I would say it's a B tier game for sure. Hey, Honeybird. Next we're going on to PlayStation Doom. PlayStation Doom, as far as like the early console versions of Doom, is hands down the most impressive. It's honestly also the best out of the console ports of FPS games from the 90s on the PlayStation, which isn't saying much because most of them are bad. You know, you've got Hexen Doom, which is atrocity. You've got Dark Forces, which you guys know how I feel about the PlayStation version of Dark Forces. You got the PlayStation version of Duke Nukem, which is awful. But the PlayStation Doom, everything works well. The changed visuals, Aubrey Hodges' soundtrack, it controls well. There's some weird oddities like throwing Doom 2 enemies in Doom 1, but I think that because of what this accomplishes, it deserves to be an A tier. Couldn't nap. Nice. It's almost here. Cool. And then we got the last two. So, both of these, unfortunately, spoilers, I haven't played. But I gotta say, oh my goodness, gifted subs. What do we got here? Honeybird gifted 5 subs. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for gifting all the subs to everybody. That means we were only 5 away from SNES Doom. So that's pretty cool. Where was I? Oh yeah, continuing. I've never played the Saturn version of Doom, but like the cover art for it is so fucking cool. Like, I love Saturn box art because it's always so simple, but like it just looks cool. I am surprised too. But I've never played Saturn Doom, so I can't really comment on it. And the same thing, and this is a surprise for a lot of people, somebody asked me about this earlier this week. I've not played Strife. Now, I think Strife looks really cool. I think it is probably one of the most innovative games running on the Doom engine because of all the, like, exploration and hubs and interactivity that it has. But, again, can't comment on it because I've never played it. So, there we go. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure there's probably some other things I missed. I'm not counting, like, unofficial things. Like, I'm not going to put Calculator Doom on here either, because it's not an official game. Or other, like, bootleg versions of Doom. But this is my list of where I put all the Doom games on the tier lists. Thank you for gifting another sub, Honeybird. I appreciate it. Yeah. it says up here, the 3 Doom games I think are the best out of the bunch are Doom 2016, Doom 2, and Doom 64. All these ones in A tier are also really good, but maybe just don't have what it takes to be the top. The B tier ones are ones that are good, have some impressive values to it, but maybe are not worth playing more than once. C tier ones are the ones that have problems that are okay. They're not garbage, but maybe they just don't have what these other ones have. And then you got these 3 down here, which are just terrible. But TNT Evolution, SNES Doom, and 3DO Doom. And it feels weird putting TNT Evolution there because it's much more functional than the other 2, but the maps are just awful in TNT Evolution. And I'm sure there's somebody here who's going to defend TNT Evolution, and that's fine. Everything here is subjective. There's no right or wrong answers to anything. You know, if you disagree with me, that's fine, but you can also kiss my ass. But yeah, this is my Doom tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed going through this with me. I will be highlighting and uploading it to YouTube in due time. Another sip of my Baja Blast. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. I definitely want to play Strife. Strife is one of those games that I've wanted to play for a while. I just never have gotten around to it. It takes a few minutes for it to update. It sucks, but what can you do? But, yeah. So, next up, we are going to play some Sigil, which I'm excited to play, because I, believe it or not, have not played Sigil yet.